At my niece's birthday celebration, my parents and sister restrained my 11-year-old daughter and cut her hair so she would not outshine her cousin. My mother told me, "Don't cause a scene." I said nothing. I was responsible for this. The following day, they were weeping at the police station. I did not witness the scissors. I did not see the expression on her face as it was happening. I did not catch them laughing, holding her down, or wiping her tears like they were insignificant. But I saw the aftermath, and I promise, that was enough. I will never forget how she looked as she left that house. It was my niece's 12th birthday. I had a hospital shift on Saturday, the glamorous life. So, my daughter Emily, 11 years old, went ahead of me. It was supposed to be innocent. A family gathering, relatives you trust until they reveal why you shouldn't. That morning, Emily was radiant. She had been planning this event for weeks. Her hair, her pride, had been carefully washed, trimmed, wrapped in a silk bonnet, and rewrapped before going to sleep. She begged me to take her to a proper salon, not the strip mall place with the harsh fluorescent lights and rushed haircuts. A real salon. I want to feel beautiful, just this once. So I picked up 2 night shifts, canceled my massage appointment, and handed over $120. She selected her hairstyle herself. Soft curls pulled half up, pearl pins tucked into a side braid. "Do you think Brooke will like it?" she asked, adjusting a pin. "Brooke is my niece, Samantha's daughter." "She will adore it," I assured her. "You look stunning." She smiled softly. She had even crafted a present by hand and wrapped it with sparkling tape. I dropped her off, gave her a kiss goodbye, and returned to work, convinced she was safe. Foolish, I admit. When I pulled into the driveway that evening, an uneasy feeling twisted inside me. Not anxiety, not fear, just a strange sensation you only realize in hindsight. Then the front door opened. Emily stepped outside, and for a moment, I hardly recognized her. Her hair, her long, flawlessly styled hair, was missing. Not trimmed or shortened, no. It was cropped, uneven, and jagged. Some strands reached her chin, others barely touched her ears. It looked as if a raccoon had taken gardening shears and cut randomly. She looked down as she moved toward me, her shoulders tense and her breath shallow. "Emily," I said, getting out of the car. "What happened?" She forced a smile, trying to be brave. "That part broke me." "They cut it," she whispered, then burst into tears. My heart shattered. "They cut it," I echoed, too shocked to say any more. She nodded, her voice faint. "Grandma and Auntie Samantha." I wanted to freeze, then fall apart. I longed to storm inside and overturn everything as if in a biblical fury. But Emily was sobbing, so I knelt down, embraced her, and she buried her face in my neck, crying. "Can we go home?" she asked. "We are not heading home yet," I said calmly. That quiet tone frightened me more than anything else. We moved closer to the house. I placed my hand on her shoulder, half expecting someone to intervene. Nobody did. Inside, Samantha was tidying up paper plates, as if she had not just shattered a young girl's faith in people. My mother wiped the counters, casually discussing leftover cake. The room was filled with the scent of frosting and betrayal. Standing in the doorway, I asked, "What happened to my daughter's hair?" Samantha did not even react. "We asked her to tie it back," she said. "She refused, so we cut it." I blinked in disbelief. "You cut it?" She was being uncooperative. My mother added, "We gave her a choice." "A choice?" I repeated. "So, let me understand. You instructed an 11-year-old to do something she did not want to. When she said no, you punished her by cutting her hair off?" "It is just hair," Samantha claimed. No, it was not. The argument continued. Brooke was crying. Samantha snapped. She saw Emily's hair and started crying. Do you believe that is fair? You flaunt your daughter with that fancy salon hair. Fancy salon hair? I echoed, engulfed in a bizarre nightmare. You know we cannot afford that, my mother interjected. What were you trying to do? Make Brooke feel ashamed? Humiliate us? She was showing off, Samantha said. You made my daughter feel ugly on her birthday? I stared at them in disbelief. These people, my own family, spoke as if Emily was some kind of rival at a prom. Not a child with a gentle soul who simply wished to offer a handmade present to her cousin. My hands felt numb. My voice was barely there. I'm taking her home, I said, without waiting for an answer. Emily remained outside. I reached for her hand, and we walked back to the car side by side. She kept wiping her cheek silently. I stayed quiet. Halfway to our destination, she softly asked, "Do you think it can be repaired?" My throat tightened as I replied, "We will make it beautiful again. I promise." She trusted my words. That was the hardest part. She still held on to the hope that the world could be set right. I did not scream. I did not threaten. I did not even shed tears. Not at that moment. I did not realize then, but very soon the tears would fall at the police station. People often speak about warning signs, alarms in the gut, moments when the veil lifts and truth is revealed. I wish I could say there was such a moment in my childhood. A boundary crossed, a harsh word, a locked door, something dramatic, something like a movie scene. But no, it was more subtle. It was gentle, persistent, a poison wrapped in tradition. You do not grow up knowing you are the second-choice daughter instantly. Instead, it happens like a slow drip. Something leaks little by little without you noticing until the ceiling caves right on top of you. My sister Samantha is 2 years older than me, and for the first 15 years of my life, I never questioned, why did she always have the nicest things? The more attractive dresses, the sparkling flats, the glossy lip balm, the flattering remarks. Let your sister wear it. She is older. You do not need mascara yet. You are still just a little girl. That top is too grown up for you. You do not want people to look at you like that. It did not matter that Samantha and I were nearly the same height by the age of 12, or that we attended the same middle school, and were often mistaken for twins. Nor did it matter that I rarely requested much, only hoping not to be dressed like some misplaced camp counselor every time we appeared in public. But it was not only about the clothes. It was the way my parents saw her and how they seemed to overlook me. Back then, I did not consider myself pretty. I loved video games and fantasy books about dragons, and my ponytail was always messy and would start to fall apart the moment I stepped outside. I was not trying to be anything special, but apparently not making an effort was what caused the problem. In a family where girls competed fiercely for attention, nothing was more threatening than someone who received it effortlessly. Samantha never said it outright, never directly accused me, but I could see it in her expression whenever a boy noticed me instead of her, whenever someone assumed I was the older sister, or whenever I made someone laugh without meaning to. Then, she would do her usual thing, twist the story, and make me believe I was at fault. I recall when I was 14 and she was 16, preparing for a family friend's wedding, she burst into my room in frustration. Complete mascara disaster mode. "Why are you wearing that dress?" I blinked. "It is the only one that fits me." "Did you do something to your hair?" "No, I just washed it." She looked like I had just committed a serious crime using Pantene. "You know Brandon will be there." Brandon, the boy she had a crush on for 4 years. He liked football and math, and apparently liked me too. But I did not like him. I only spoke to him once about a book we both enjoyed. Do not even think about flirting with him. I am not. What? She slammed the door shut. Later that evening, my mom pulled me aside. "Could you not have worn something less eye-catching?" Your sister was really upset. The dress was gray. Gray. As the years passed, things grew worse quietly in ways that left no visible marks. Samantha would accidentally hide my makeup bag or forget to inform me that the dress code had changed for an event. On one occasion, she replaced my conditioner with shampoo. My hair looked like I had styled it with static electricity for a whole week. But what hurt more than all of that was how my parents kept supporting her. No matter how trivial or obvious it was, they always saw me as the problem. I was difficult, too proud, too sensitive, too much to handle. Fast forward 10 years, and I believed I had moved beyond it. I thought success would fix the imbalance. I worked my way through medical school, residency with long hours and no sleep, with no one giving me any breaks. I bought my own house, married a man who treated me with respect. Radical, I know. I gave my daughter. Emily received everything I had never been permitted to have. I believed and wished that perhaps this would suffice. Maybe at last they would recognize me as an individual. Perhaps they would treat Emily in a new way. But they did not. They simply could not. I began to observe it during visits. Emily would arrive at family gatherings dressed in a charming outfit she chose herself, and my mother would press her lips tightly. "Do you think that skirt is a bit much for a little girl?" she would ask. "She is 11, I would say." Samantha would offer subtle insults in front of Brooke. "Wow, Emily, that is a lot of hair for someone your age. Do you always wear makeup even to school?" Emily never wore makeup. She only had clear lip gloss and sparkly clips, but the message remained consistent. Do not stand out. Do not shine. Do not make Brooke appear dull in comparison. And Brooke, poor girl, absorbed everything. She repeated her mother's envy as if it were the absolute truth. Once, after a family cookout, I found her in the hallway with Emily. I did not catch all the words, merely the last part. "You think you are so special just because your mom allows you to go to the salon." Emily never told me what was said, but she looked smaller, more fragile than usual. The truth is, I never understood how deeply it affected her. I did not realize that the same unspoken rules applied, the same games, the same threats disguised behind smiles, at least until the birthday. Until I saw Emily leave that house with her hair cut unevenly. Until I heard her say the words. "They cut it." That was the moment everything became clear. It was not about rebellion or discipline or some immature misunderstanding. It was a punishment for being beautiful, for shining brightly, for standing out when she was expected to remain silent. They saw in Emily the very thing they had despised in me. And they targeted her. I believed I had escaped that torment, that the worst had passed. But I did not realize I had unknowingly led her, my daughter, into the same trap I once endured. She revealed it while I was pouring tea. They held me down just like that. No warning, no crying, just those 4 words spoken plainly as if she were reporting the weather. Emily sat at the kitchen table wearing her hoodie, legs curled beneath her, staring blankly ahead. I stopped pouring. "What?" "They held me down," she repeated. I refused to comply. Aunt Samantha pushed me into the chair and Grandma said, "It is just hair. Stop creating a fuss." Then they cut it. I remained silent, gripping the teapot as though I could squeeze justice from it. "They were laughing," she added. "Grandpa said I needed to be humbled. Brooke was recording me. Connor, too. He said he intended to send it to the group chat." She blinked. "I do not even know what group chat that is." I sat down completely because if I did not, I would break something. "They recorded it." She nodded again. "Connor held his tablet up the whole time. I think he thought it was amusing." "Of course he did." And no one intervened. Grandpa. I was eating cake when Brooke asked them to come to the front as well. I looked at her and she appeared so tiny in that chair, smaller than I had ever seen her before. At that moment, something inside me went icy cold. I was no longer angry. I was prepared. Emily, I said, what they did to you was not only wrong but also against the law. She looked up at me. Really? Yes. It is called assault. They touched you without your consent, held you down, and cut your hair, which is a part of your identity and freedom, while you were crying. This is more than just hair. It is a serious offense. She looked away again. I felt uneasy. Well, that's because you are right. I paused and asked, do you want to report this? She blinked. To the police? Yes. If you don't want to, we won't. But if you do, I will come with you today. She remained silent for a moment, fiddling with a loose thread on her sleeve, then said, Okay, let's do it. I told her we needed evidence. Emily tilted her head as if I had forgotten something basic. Connor recorded everything. I raised my eyebrow in surprise. Are you sure? He was standing just in front of me, as if filming a YouTube vlog. I handed her my phone and asked, Do you want to ask him? Without hesitation, she searched for his name and typed, Hey Connor, I know you filmed it. Can you send me the video? Within half a minute he replied, Okay. Just like that. No guilt, no doubt. Only a laughing emoji and a video file. We watched together. It was brief, around 12 seconds, but that was all the proof we needed. Emily was in tears, pleading, No, please, no. Meanwhile, Samantha gripped a handful of her hair, and my mother stood behind them with her arms crossed, as if she were watching someone fold laundry. My father lounged on the couch, a plastic fork in hand, and said calmly, She will be grateful one day. Connor was laughing nearby. Brooke shouted, Next, take the front. Emily remained silent as she observed everything, her expression unreadable. When the video ended, she turned to me and quietly asked, Can we leave now? We headed straight to the station without any delays or dramatic scenes. I did not even change my clothes. Emily was still wearing her hoodie, and my makeup from the previous day was still intact. None of it mattered anymore. At the station, we met a detective named Alvarez, a woman in her mid-40s with a practical haircut and kind eyes that never wavered as we recounted the events. Emily handed over the video with the poise of a professional. Alvarez put on her headphones and watched the footage twice. She remained mostly silent, but I could see her expression shift, tightening, then sharpening, and finally settling into a resolute, quiet disgust that made everything clear. We are opening an official case, she declared. You did the right thing by coming forward. Throughout the questioning, Emily stayed composed. She answered calmly and even asked a few questions herself. When Alvarez mentioned that a child advocate would attend Emily's follow-up interview, she nodded as if she had just been cast as the lead in a school play. Her fear was gone. She was filled with determination. By the time we returned to the car, Emily was charged with energy. Not with happiness, God number, but with something sharper, lighter, as if the burden of silence had finally been lifted from her shoulders. What happens next? She asked. I told her the truth. There will be paperwork, a follow-up, possibly a court case, maybe even protective orders. This will not be simple. She nodded. Good. That single word sent chills down my spine. That night the phone rang. I did not recognize the number, but I knew the voice immediately. Are you out of your mind? My mother's voice struck me like a punch. She did not even greet me. You went to the police. You actually called the police because of a haircut. She did not wait for me to answer. You are going to ruin everything. Do you understand that? You are going to destroy this family. Is that what you want? I let her vent, allowed her to yell, to spill all her fear and rage through the line. Then when she finally paused to breathe, I said, You should have thought about that before you attacked my child. Dead silence followed. We did not assault anyone. It was just a haircut. No, it was humiliation. It was violence. And now there was proof. Another moment of silence. Then you are not thinking clearly. You need to calm down. Tell that to the officer. I hung up, and I did not feel one bit guilty. Not for an instant. And it was far from over. When my phone rang the next morning, I was already holding a cup of coffee and a deep resentment. It was Samantha. Child Protective Services was at our house, she said, her voice breaking. They arrived this morning, Ruby, without any warning. They wanted to look. Brooke's room. They inquired if we had any scissors nearby. I remained quiet, gently swirling my coffee, allowing the silence to convey my thoughts instead of words. What on earth is wrong with you? She murmured. You really went through with it. You pressed charges. No, I replied. I simply reported what you did. What happens next is your responsibility. It's just hair, Ruby. There it was once more. That same familiar excuse. Just hair, just fun, just sisters, just childhood memories? No, I said, holding down a crying child and cutting her body without permission, filming it, and then mocking her. If that's what you believe parenting is, I would be afraid too. She tried to change her approach, pleading with me to withdraw the report. You're destroying the family, she said, voice trembling. You made this so public that I could lose my children. You should have thought about that before you harmed mine, I answered, then ended the call. No farewell, no explanation, just the sound of a boundary firmly closing. I should have expected they wouldn't stop there. That very afternoon, someone sent me screenshots. There they were, my parents and Samantha posting on Facebook, twisting the facts as if it was a talent show for kids. It was a game to them. Emily said she wanted a makeover. Ruby is unstable again. She often overreacts. We love Emily. We were bonding. Bonding? Is that what they call it now? Bonding through force. One comment even said, I've known Ruby for years, and she is always obsessed with appearances matter. It's heartbreaking to see someone use their own daughter as a weapon like this. Oh, really? Brenda from church? That is your main takeaway? I showed the post to Emily. She scrolled through the comments, her lips tightening in frustration. They are lying, she whispered quietly. I know. They are getting away with it. I looked at her firmly. Not if we share the truth. Then I hesitated. Would you be comfortable if I posted the video? She met my eyes. Not like a frightened child, but like someone who had enough of being belittled. Please post it. So I did. No lengthy caption, no angry rant, just these words. This is what they call a game. This is my 11-year-old daughter crying as they forcibly hold her down and cut her hair. She said no. They laughed. Then I attached the video. It blew up instantly. The same people who spent the morning calling me dramatic were tagging me with apologies by nightfall. I take it back. This is terrifying. Why is that kid laughing when she is crying? This is assault. Period. I would press charges too. What is going on? Even the original skeptics began deleting their comments. Funny how quickly people find moral clarity when there is evidence. Emily sat beside me while we watched the views rise. I glanced over at her. She smiled. Not a wide smile, but one that said, They see me now. I am not invisible anymore. 2 days later, my dad texted me. Hey, your rent transfer did not go through this month. Was there a problem? I stared at the message for a moment, and then I typed, No problem. I simply refused to pay for those who laughed while my daughter begged them to stop. Come on, Ruby. You are really cutting us off just because of a haircut. And there it appeared once again. The evasion, the refusal, the inability to call things by their true names. I replied, because it was not a mere haircut. It was an assault. And when you had the chance to admit it was wrong, you chose instead to spread lies about it on Facebook. Also, if you ever try contacting Emily again, I will report it. Another silence followed. Well, I suppose money means more to you than family. I did not respond. Not because I lacked countless things to say, but because I do not argue with those who mistake consequences for betrayal. Later that week, Emily and I returned to the salon. The stylist I had appointed was kind, gentle, and perfectly skilled at handling hair damaged by family conflict and kitchen scissors. She did not attempt to restore it to its previous length. She avoided words like fix. Instead, she bent down to Emily and said, "Let's create something just for you." An hour later, Emily gazed at her reflection, feeling the new shape of her hair. She tilted her head and smiled. "I look amazing. And you know what?" She truly did. The next week, Emily gave her complete statement at the police station. She entered with confidence, as if she owned the place. No tears, no doubts. She answered every question with clarity. When asked how it made her feel, she said, "It was as if they assumed I did not matter." When asked why she was reporting it, she simply responded, "Because I do." I sat quietly with my hands folded in my lap, listening as my daughter took back every part of her voice with determination. Later, once we reached the car, I gently asked, "Do you ever want to see them again?" Without a glance, she said firmly, "No, never." I nodded in understanding. You have the power to decide who stays in your life and who does not. A month went by and the case was processed. None of them ended up behind bars. I never expected that outcome, yet the charges remained significant. My mother, my father, and Samantha were all found guilty of misdemeanor assault. Each received a criminal record and had to pay a fine. However, Samantha faced the heaviest consequences, as she should have. She was mandated to complete an extensive parenting program, and Child Protective Services would oversee the household for the upcoming year. I heard from a reliable source that Tyler even threatened to leave Samantha. Their planned vacation was canceled, and the pressure was crushing them. I did not feel sorry, not a bit. Emily continues to refuse to see any of them. She wants nothing to do with them at school events, birthday parties, or anywhere else. I honor her feelings every time because I have come to realize that respecting her decisions is more than just healing. It is reclaiming her strength. They had already taken so much from her. No more. So the question remains, did I act too harshly or not harshly enough? Some argued that I had overreacted, insisting that this should have remained a family matter and that it was only about hair. Perhaps their opinions would hold some weight if they had not experienced it. About my 11-year-old being restrained, dishonored, and harmed by those who were meant to safeguard her. Perhaps justice appeared quieter to them. However, to me, justice was my daughter entering a salon with her chin lifted confidently. Justice meant her understanding that finally someone would stand up and defend her. So, I find myself asking, should I have taken stronger action? Removed them from her life earlier? Pursued legal action until their wrongdoing was undeniable? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you crave more stories like this, genuine and just a bit gratifying, make sure to subscribe.